Welcome to the D&D Fitness Radio Podcast, brought to you by your hosts, Don Saladino from New York City and Derek Hansen from Vancouver, Canada. Hey guys, how you doing? Sorry about that.
Hey Derek, good to meet you.
Yeah, likewise, Rick. Hopefully everybody's doing well.
Heck yeah. I just had a massage, so I've been on my face for about an hour. So tough life down here, you know.
I forgot what those are like. We've been in quarantine so long that doesn't even like.
George has doesn't give any. Yeah, we don't care. Put it that way. I guess I'm not supposed to.
You
swear.
could say that. That's fine.
Zero fucks given. Yeah, we opened we're in our 6th week of business down here. It's like business as usual, man. We go out to eat. Restaurants are packed. It's crazy. So.
I mean, Derek, the restaurant, we're actually going to dine in tonight. This is going to be our first dinner, I think, we're going to with my parents, that we're actually able to sit in a restaurant. Awesome. Up until now, I've gone out to dinner one night, which was last week, and it was outdoors. So, it's just, who knows? It's kind of wild too, because I didn't know, when's phase 4. It's like, you don't know. Especially with, we're in a really, unique situation too, because of everything going on down in Soho. So, that's like the icing on the cake. So when I stopped in to check on the club 2 weeks ago, it looked like Afghanistan. It was like, there were blown up cars. The storefronts, the Chanel store looked like someone walked up to it with a bazooka and fired it through, not once, not twice, but 3 times. It was literally blown out windows. And it was so eerie to see one of the, in my opinion, one of the most special areas of New York City being Soho, like the shopping mecca. It's just such a hot area. For me, it's centrally located in Midtown and downtown, and just being destroyed. It was really sad.
Yeah. I was thinking about you because that was the area they said it was affected most. I know you're right there. So how's the gym though overall? Property held up okay?
It's fine. We're on the 2nd floor. So, the 1st floor was boarded up, and, everything with the quarantine and closing down, we still fortunately kept on 90% of our staff, which is great. I don't own 1,000 locations, but, to be able to still do that and keep my cleaning staff, keep them going. And he just got back in, I think, last week to start, just going through stuff. We're going to have to do we're going to have to tear the club apart, but we'll do that, 2 weeks out, 3 weeks out. We're not even there yet. It's crazy.
Right. It's crazy.
And to boot, I've been renegotiating a lease there. It's 15 years. It's crazy. It's nuts.
Yeah. Well, shoot, man, we've been in business. I'm in the same space since 92. So we've been through 9/11 and stock market crash, 2008, 2009. But nothing like this. This has been different. But honestly, we were actually mandatorily closed for maybe 4 weeks. That was it. So we were the last state to close and the first to open. And everyone's like, "You're crazy. Everyone's going to die." And that has not been the case.
That's terrific.
And there's been some interesting things that have popped up with client sentiment, just kind of what's going on overall staff. A lot of stuff I can share with you guys that we've learned.
We'd love to hear all about it. Just kind of giving our listeners a little bit of an intro. Rick's someone who, I met Rick, I think it might have been through the Perform Better, or it might have been through Tom Plummer. I don't know where I met you first.
Yeah, I don't either. I think it might have been through Plummer originally, just at one of the NFBA shows near you. Right?
Yes.
And then I think it's Perform Better after that. Yeah.
It's going to be a long time, though. We got to be going on almost a decade, I would think.
Yeah, I agree.
Or at least it feels that way. But Rick's one of those guys in the industry who, is definitely led by example and has, you basically have a chain of how many locations?
A couple thousand now.
Couple thousand, right? So, which is incredibly impressive, and the training's really smart. It's very intelligent. He's one of the guys that I feel like took group training and actually, made it smart. Where we see so much of it that's just in the other direction. Not to mention names, but Rick's done it right for a while, and he also kind of spun off and started doing a lot more business lectures, and that's when I started. And you know what? That's when I did start listening to you. I think it was down in Florida at one of Plummer's thing. I feel like it was Tom Plummer, but I went and I listened to one of your talks, and it was so relatable. And it was one of those things that I felt like every person in business should go listen to.
Appreciate that.
Good stuff. And now we're here and you're meeting Derek for the first time, right?
That's right. So, Derek, what's your relationship to Don?
Geez, I just ran into Don accidentally. No. I was in New York City to help out an actor, and one of Don's employees like, hey, you should come here. We got lots of actors. So I'm like, okay. So brought him in, and we hit it off right away. And that was 3 years ago, Don, something like that. And
That's bizarre because that feels a lot longer. I almost said 10 also. Shows where my head is.
So I spent a couple of months just hanging out with Don and the people at the gym, and great place to train. And it's all history. So
he's playing it down though. Derek's got an incredible background in running mechanics, and studied under Charlie Francis. And for those people who don't know who Charlie was, Charlie worked with Ben Johnson, and just an incredible resume Derek has. And when Derek came in, and I heard about Derek, and I was always a little like, it always becomes messy if you allow something. That's kind of an unfair statement, but a lot of times it becomes messy when you allow another coach to come in, because it's just like, do the trainers get along? And Derek came in, and I think he literally probably, how many months were you there? For 3 months?
From October to like February or something like that.
Every single day, he hosted a lecture for the coaches on running mechanics. Wow. And we actually did a few partnerships. We did one with Trueform treadmills. We did it with On Running, where we literally, Trueform dropped off like a dozen treadmills, and we started hosting these running workshops. And all my coaches every one of my coaches, including myself, were kind of in awe of Derek's teaching. We just kind of sat there, and we all just shut our mouths for 3 months and just listened. So right after that, I was thinking about doing a podcast. Why don't we do something? This would be kind of fun. You're all the way in like Vancouver, and I'm in New York. I think it'd be fun to just kind of kick it off and just keep it really light and bring some cool guests on. And as we've been doing it probably 2 years now. Derek, what do you think?
Oh yeah. It's gone quickly. Definitely.
So we see each other every week, which is great. So that's it. That's the background.
Derek, you're in Vancouver, huh?
Yeah. It's pretty quiet out here right now. So
yeah, that's a great city, man. I love Vancouver. It's awesome.
Yeah, we're hoping. I think they're hoping to get the movie industry started again, because we have very few cases here. I think we have in the province 2,700 cases. And some places are getting that in a day. So. Yeah, I don't know. They've handled it well, or we've been lucky, or something. So, but yeah, we'll see what happens.
It's the Canadians are just too nice to get it. That's what it is, man. So nice. The virus doesn't even affect you guys.
I was actually laughing. One of my clients the other day, his brother's a cop in Canada. And this is right around the time of all the riots going on, and there was a protest going on, and the protesters contacted the police department, and they asked if they had any trash cans down there from when they would come and protest. And the joke became like such a Canadian thing to say, like they can't even be pissed. Like they're such nice people. They're gonna for a protest. They're like, we're gonna come down. We're gonna protest. We're gonna speak our mind. But do you guys have trash cans? We just don't want to litter. It's fantastic.
Trash cans because we do not want to make a mess.
I think it's fantastic. I think that's the way it should be. Like
that's ideal. That's what I'm saying. Canadians are nice, man.
Well, the funny thing was that after the New York stuff, they said, "Oh, we're going to protest here too." So all the businesses boarded up every window, and they didn't need to. It was like,
yeah, just an excuse. Like, no one's like, come on. I mean, everyone's just like, I want a week off.
Are you guys open?
That's another story. Crazy times, man. We're in some crazy times. But all right. So, Rick, you've got thousands of locations.
Yeah.
You're in Georgia, which closed last, open first. What is? Can you give us any color on everything going on? Because right now, I don't know what it's going to be like when I come back into the city. And most gyms, they're doing things that I think are for optics. Hanging shower curtains up around specific equipment. And I get it. Everyone has to make an effort, and you have to show that you're putting your right foot forward. But can you go through some of the, what are some of the things that you guys took?
Yeah, so we were actually slated to open, I think it was May 1st, believe it or not. And then our governor jumped out and was like, never mind, go ahead and open. And it was like a Wednesday. And he said, you can open. The date was Friday, so it was 2 days away. We didn't open then. We waited until Monday. We have one of our other brick and mortars that's here in Atlanta. We went ahead and opened Friday because it was just ready already. Now, the things that we did leading up to it, where we had a company come in and do essentially what we would describe as an industrial fogging, which was, and they did the HVAC ducts, and we changed the filters, and, it's this, that positive, negative charge. I mean, it's pretty cool technology. It's been proven to work, and, they're claiming it will last like up to 90 days. So we had the place fogged, essentially dry fogged, lockers. I mean, basically the whole entire place, right? And then we filmed the process of that being done, because it certainly wouldn't hurt then as we reopened to say, hey, here's all the precautions that we're taking. And it looked really impressive. There's like a guy with a mask on, there's fog everywhere, and like everything's dying in the room. It looks amazing, right? Like you're killing everything, every virus. So we did that. And then because we've gone from like a larger model where we have all these verticals, meaning one of those being large group, which is like 30, 40 people in a group. We had already pivoted away from that, because we've gone from a license model, which is what we've got these couple thousand clubs in. We're moving to a full franchise now. Well, the franchise is based on scalable personal training. So it's kind of going back to our core competency. So thankfully, just by chance, we had already changed our model to be a smaller footprint and a little bit less foot traffic. So the maximum amount of people that we'd have in the facility at one time would be 12. And they're all being personal trained. So being able to socially distance for us was very easy, right? We weren't like on a clock where it would beep and everyone switches and is sharing equipment. So one example would be, when people came in, we had them just work out, like warm up and work out in their own space. Now, we didn't do like, chalk lines or tape or anything like that. We just thoughtfully set the equipment that each person would need in their area, and they would just stand where their equipment was, if that makes sense. And then the programming itself didn't share equipment. So, everybody it might be a kettlebell, sandbag, a TRX strap, whatever that is, but everybody had their own equipment for the entire session. And our sessions run about 45 minutes on the hour. And so we already had a built-in margin for the coaches to go through and clean all of the equipment before the next group of people would come in. So imagine just 12 people coming in hour over hour, right? So thankfully we were already set up for that. So what we did beforehand is we did industrial cleaning of the entire place. We made it very public. We had some signage put up with what our expectations were going to be, right, on our clients. Like, here's what we expect from you guys: no hugging, kissing, whatever that may be. Practice social distancing. And we were still doing towel service, but we were doing it in a meaningful way. And then we were having them stand in their own space and just kind of asking them to be conscientious. And we did not require any masks. Now, we weren't mandated by the state to do so. So I let my team know and our clients know, do whatever you want to, fun and humor is one of our core values. So we're like, if you want to wear a bunny suit, a mask, a hazmat suit, like wear whatever makes you comfortable. We just want you back in the gym, right? And surprisingly, even to date, we're 6 weeks in, not one person has worn a mask, not one of our customers. And if you think about who buys personal training, you guys, the price threshold's a bit higher than like a group training model, right? Like an Orange Theory or something like that. The price threshold's much lower than what we do. That tends to, by default, make the population lean a bit older. So if you really thought about who was at like high risk, if you will, it would have been this clientele. And we've had zero problems and haven't had anyone wearing masks or anything in the gym. And again, we weren't mandated to do so. Some businesses in our state are. Restaurants, servers have to wear them, doctor's offices, things like that. Gyms and health clubs do not.
What do you think about, I mean, and it's not our governor's job to, understand the difference between big box facilities and small boutique, because it is kind of a cluster. Like if you categorize Orange Theory, that's called boutique group training. If you come into my facility, it's more of a boutique training facility. But they're very, very different. Yeah. So they put everything into a big box, and I can understand how a lot of gym owners are in uproar right now who can't open their business, and they're having a difficult time with their landlords. That's a completely different story. We can get to that later on, but I feel like that, our governor has to start learning, is starting to learn about, the differences in these size clubs. Because if you have a club like yours and there's 12 people, during the hour coming in, or you have my club, which is, which is already too big. It's, 15,000 feet, but we may only have 20 people in there. I mean, think about the math on that. That's safer than going to a grocery store, in my opinion. So,
well,
go ahead.
Well, you're absolutely right. And you've probably seen some of the chatter in our industry. There are certain states that are trying to get, reclassified and segment the health club population into studios. But even that, like you're right, Don, if we said studios only, I'm the exact same footprint size as an Orange Theory. They're putting 24 people in there. We're only putting 12. So even that categorization wouldn't work. Like I have probably the most advantageous, as do you, business model for post-COVID, if you will. Like we're the safest place you could be. We can distance you easily. We can control it. Not a ton of volume coming in at a time, higher price point, that type of thing. So I think it's going to be tough for any government to be able to say, yes, this studio, personal training studios, yes, HIIT studios, no. I mean, that really gets in the weeds, right? Too many rabbit holes to run down with that. But I do think some distinction between studios and large gyms is going to be very, very important. If we can at least do that, it'd be a step in the right direction.
I think that is step one. It's funny. Like I was smiling when you were talking about the industrial fogging and filming it, because I already have a camera guy on hold, because I was like, oh, this is going to be a great visual to show members. Personally, I mean, I feel bad saying this. Every gym owner wants to open right now. And I'm saying to myself, you know what, if it drags on the fall, not the worst thing, because the area I'm in, I mean, our business dies in August. It just dips. So September starts to climb back, and usually by October we're firing. So, am I in a rush to get back? Yes, I want to get back. Fortunately, our coaches are working, and we want their numbers to pick up, and we want people to start enjoying and using the club. But, if it's delayed a little bit longer, it's delayed a little bit longer. How do you feel about, and Derek, I want to get your opinion on this as well. How do you feel about what, the large big box gyms are saying? Like a lot of the CEOs have come on, and I personally laugh a little bit at it, because they're all like, "Oh, it's fine. We're 150,000 square foot facility, and it's safe. Do you think there's a level of unauthenticity to that? Do you think they're just trying to get open, or do you think they really believe? I mean, you're a CEO of a major brand, and a big box chain, not meaning you, some of these other guys, not to mention names, is it safe?
Yeah, it's a tough question. You guys have probably seen the report that came out of Norway. I think it was published yesterday. Came out in the UK papers first, then New York Times.
I did not see it.
It's in the New York Times.
Picked it up. Yeah, New York Times picked it up this morning. It was out in the UK, in one of the UK publications yesterday. And it's basically a study that was done in Norway during the height of the infection. And they took, I think it was around 1,800 people. I might be butchering this, but I'm doing my best. 1,800 people, and they split them into two groups. Half of them went to gyms. And in the gym setting, they shrank the size of the workable space to make it mimic a full gym, right? So you got 900 people going to the gym, 900 people roughly not going to the gym. And there was only one case of anyone that was going to the gym, and they actually had contracted it before they went to the gym. So listen, it's one study, but I think that's what we're all suffering from right now, is like a little bit of confirmation bias, right? Where you think something and then you go and cherry pick data that supports the way you think, and then you post that on social media, and that's just the way it is, and everybody else is wrong. I mean, we all as humans, I think, have a little confirmation bias. So is this the end all be all study to prove that health clubs are healthy? Probably not, but I'm going to do what everyone else did and cherry pick it and be like, aha, look at this. You're not going to get sick in your health club. So are CEOs of large companies being falsely optimistic? I don't know. I think it's impossible to be an entrepreneur who is in charge of a large brand and not be falsely optimistic. I don't think anyone, it's a stretch to say that these CEOs aren't concerned about the health of their members. I think everyone is genuinely concerned about that. But I think with all the conflicting data that we have, which leads to lack of trust, right, in what we're hearing, I think you don't really have a choice. If you're allowed to open, you have to open, and you just have to do it as best as possible. And we're seeing some really silly and then also some really creative solutions on social distancing, partitions between treadmills, or like you said, plastic cubes around people training. Some of them are laughable, but like everyone's trying, right? Mm-hmm. So I don't think we know yet. I think it's too early to say whether it's safe or not. What I will tell you is that in the court of public opinion, the type of model that I have or that you have, Don, is certainly, it has inherently more trust. Mm-hmm. So as an example, We had someone that was in our facility. It was like the first week that we were opened. And by the way, you guys, we opened at 50% capacity. So make sure I don't forget to get to like client sentiment, like what was the general thinking of the people that came back and who came back. But, one of our clients was during the dynamic warm-up was saying loudly, proclaiming to the room, this place is at least 10 times cleaner than the produce department at Kroger, which is our local grocery store, right? Which everyone kind of chuckled at, but it's true. So unless you're truly quarantining yourself, and taping yourself in your basement, you're probably exposing yourself all over town. So is a gym any worse than that? Probably not, especially gyms that are like ours. And so there was that comment. And then someone else said, I can't imagine going to a big gym right now. And then the follow-up statement was, I don't even know those people. And I thought that was an odd thing to say, because as you guys know, like you don't catch a virus from people that you don't know any greater than you do people that you know. But there's some perception that these are people like me, because we all have chosen to work out here. It's a smaller environment. They probably make smart choices like I do. And so there's some inherent trust in being in this smaller and family type of environment where everyone knows everyone, where you go to a big wide open gym and you just feel like, okay, those people, these people that I don't know, because there's 10,000 members, might be doing things that would expose me to this virus. Whether or not that's true, I don't know. So long answer, I don't think the CEOs are being irresponsible. I think they're just doing the best that they can with the data that they have in front of them. And they're trying to be as safe as possible. And let's face it, if you get the green light in your community, like let's say, Don, okay, you can open now, and then you choose not to, as an entrepreneur, it's a little bit like sitting still at a green light, right? Because now there's a chunk of people, I can tell you based on experience, that are going to want to come out of the house. They're going to start, they want to be healthy. They can't wait to get back to the gym. And if you're not the solution for them, they'll find a different one.
Oh,
so
100%.
Just losing market share to competitors if you don't open when you can.
100%. Derek, what's it look like? And that was a great answer, Rick. Thanks. So Derek, what are they doing in Vancouver about this? When are gyms opening? What's the protocol?
I think they're permitted. Like there was some stuff I know across Canada where people were trying to do stuff outside, and they even banned that for a bit. But I think they're relaxing everything. And like I said, aside from like Montreal, Quebec, most of Canada hasn't been that bad. So getting back is not going to be difficult. And like you guys said, you take the right measures. But there's a lot of generalizations about gyms. Like everybody who goes to a gym must be like this person, right? And I think that's the problem. Like, again, like you guys have been saying, and most of the time, I think gym people are pretty responsible. They're not smashing into each other. Or, like I went up to the park and people are playing volleyball, and it's not like they're wiping down the ball after every exchange, right? Like if there's something on it, it's getting transferred. But that wouldn't necessarily happen in a gym. People are wiping stuff down, I assume. And they're spaced out. You can't be too close just based on the footprint of machines and weights moving around. So I think it's not going to be a problem. Like you guys have said, probably going to the grocery store. We go to Costco. There's lineups. There's lots of people. There's, it's a little insane, but the gym, I don't think is a problem.
What about Rick, digital? Did you guys, I mean, you were only closed a month, but did some light bulbs go off? And maybe you're already doing this, and I don't know, so I apologize. But for your membership that was home for 4 weeks, I know on our end, a lot of them in the beginning didn't necessarily trust the whole digital concept. They're saying, at home, can I get, now they were forced to have to do this type of training, and every single one of them, like we sent out a survey monkey to them, and every one of them said, we're going to come back to the gym, but we're going to also continue to do stuff digitally, because we're realizing now that, we can just do this more. And if we only have 40 minutes during the day, and we'd lose 15 minutes getting down to the club and 15 getting back, and we would normally not do it, now we can do it, which I was very happy to hear. Did you guys experience anything like that?
We did. So we've always had an app, right? So Alloy has an app, and it's really a workout builder, and it's accountability, and it pulls in MyFitnessPal. We can do nutrition coaching, and they can tag workouts with perceived exertion. So it's a really robust tool. But when you're in a brick and mortar model, most people are paying for coming to the gym, right? It's like the crux move is just leaving the house. Once they show up, I put my keys down, you guys handle the rest. That's the beauty of it, right? And so what was interesting is when we were forced to shut down, we've just automatically moved everyone to virtual. So we took our clients and we put them into buckets, if you will, and we put coaches, because I carry my staff full pay the whole time too, even without the PPP. Well, part of the reason we were able to do that was we had a longer runway, but we held on to our revenue by taking clients. It wasn't like, well, do you want to go virtual? It's like, all right, here's what we're going to be doing. And I put a bucket of clients under each coach, right, or a coach in charge of it. And then we built a very robust playbook on how we were going to service those clients, like how many touch points they were going to get a week, one exercise, one nutrition, one motivational, a phone call a week on how they're doing, 3 or 4 different programs a week. And we had the tool for it. And the funny thing was, Don, like you said, a lot of our clients were like, wow, this is so cool. Like we had no idea that you guys had this, right? And a lot of them really liked it. And so I think if anything, if you do have these tools, right, to be able to spotlight those, it made us look so much better and more relevant as a brand. And I think it made a better value proposition to our customers. And so right now we're about 15% off still in overall revenue after 6 weeks. Not bad at all.
That's pretty incredible.
Yeah, we started back at like 75, like we were almost at 75% revenue when we came back. And we didn't really lose any. We did have to reduce our prices a little bit for virtual. And quite honestly, the amount of work that goes into virtual, as you guys know, it's actually more work than having them come to the gym. It just takes a lot of time. It's basically like doing one-on-one training. You're just servicing it virtually, which is very time consuming, right? And labor intensive. But we felt like because our clients had purchased in-person workouts in the gym, there was some perceived loss in value now that they were just working out at home. So we dropped their rates a little bit, not much, but across the board while we were closed. And as soon as we were open, when they came back to the gym, we took them back to normal rates. So we still have a handful that, for whatever reason, are choosing to continue to do virtual right now and stay home.
It is difficult to justify not changing the rates. I mean, my mindset has always been an hour of your time is an hour of your time. Like if you're at the gym or you're in front of the computer, and when I'm standing there and my clients that I'm working with virtually, it's only, 2 or 3 of them, but they have tripods and I have them moving around, and I love coaching. I mean, it's something that I've always loved doing, but it is, demonstrations, this stuff, it is time consuming. An hour of your time is an hour of your time. We also had to, discount it. It'd be pretty difficult to go in there and try and justify. And I think even at a time when, I know your main outlook became the coaches. I mean, naturally, you're a business person and you want to make sure your business is healthy. But the thing you really start worrying about in the short term is the coaches, because a lot of them are, they're grinding and they're battling. So how can we keep that going? So, the club ended up taking a big cut on their commission and kept the coaches at the same spot. And I think now, even after 4 weeks, we're seeing the numbers start to approach where they were in the gym. So I'm curious to see when they go back. The thing I'm thinking about is how to blend, is there more of a blend in the future where people can come in and maybe the access gives them, I don't know, a certain amount of coaching touches a week, virtually. These are things I'm still thinking through. I have some, but what did you guys do? Did you guys do anything on that front? Did you change your membership or add anything like that?
We didn't, but we've always had the app for that very reason. So the reason we built the app in the first place is like, say you have a slow August because all the snowbirds go to their beach home, right? Maybe that's why it's happening to you. And that happens a lot in the Northeast. It's like, well, we built the app so that the gyms that we work with could say, well, instead of just not paying me for August, how about we continue to coach you remotely? Tell me what kind of equipment you have at your beach home. I'll hold you accountable. I'll design workouts. We can do these touch points throughout the week. And it was sort of a revenue saver, right? And so we always had it for that reason. So we've always had a proposed hybrid program. It's just that the people that are regularly coming into the brick and mortar, they just don't need it. I mean, for lack of better terms, it was just underutilized, right? So we're all about having a hybrid moving forward. But I don't think still anyone that's reaching out to us now, because by the way, as soon as they gave us the green light, we turned up our marketing spend like twofold, which was awesome because none of our competitors were doing it, right? Because they were probably pinching pennies and super budget conscious. And we were like, well, thankfully we had a healthy enough business. So we're like, well, let's turn it up because now's the time, it's a huge disruption in people's lives. They look for change, like they say, moving, having babies, any kind of disruptions are the perfect time for retail to grab you to change your buying habits. Well, nothing better than, a pandemic to have people change their habits. So we felt like if people had maybe left their big gym or left their crowded studio, now would be our chance to grab them up, right? So we start pumping out a bunch of marketing. None of that marketing said, and we can do virtual. Because during the 4 weeks that we were shut down, we kept our marketing spend going and we just pivoted to virtual only. And it might have just been a poor campaign, but we didn't get a lot of traction for virtual only. We didn't. As soon as we started marketing brick and mortar and mentioned as a side note that, hey, and if you don't want to do these things in the gym, by the way, we can also train you virtually. It was fine, but we haven't had anyone take us up on virtual yet.
Do you guys think that moving forward, like everybody's got to have this, like you have to have that virtual fallback position. Like if you don't have it and I want to sign up for your gym, I'm like, well, do you have virtual just in case? And they're, no, we don't. So do you think that's a huge marketing point moving forward, even though people still love coming to the gym?
I think so. I mean, there are people that are very good marketers in our industry, and that's how they make their living, is running marketing plays for gyms, who have been promoting this hybrid model for a while now, right? So I do think it's relevant moving forward, and you have to have the technology to be able to service it both ways. Certainly, hopefully not in a pandemic kind of situation, but I think there's just a segment of the population that will expect it moving forward. And I think it needs to be better than just a Zoom call, right? Type of, like, I'll run a live session, I'm in my living room. I mean, you're gonna have to be a little bit more sophisticated than that. And plus the manpower that it takes you, the live time that you have to do that, that's a bit much. So I don't see that being, the way to service it, but I think it is absolutely necessary that you have a digital virtual option moving forward.
So much potential with it. I mean, even blocking off some studio space and, a little corner in your facility and, walling that off and having coaches go in there and they can start doing stuff that looks a little bit more, systematic, maybe starting to include, I was thinking, like, is there a specific bundle, you can join with Perform Better and make sure that all the members purchase that bundle for their homes and just, get them really used to the culture. Because the thing, I mean, listen, I've been doing digital a long time, but I have two different businesses. I have my Don Saladino brand and I have my Dry brand. And, I noticed that the thing that most people were a little scared of before the pandemic was trusting the process. Like, oh, the digital is great and the at-home workouts are great. And then when they had to actually do that, they realize they can be, if the coaching's smart, it can be exceptional in my opinion. I mean, the only thing you're missing is the screening and process. And I'm starting to look at a lot of AI technology out there where they're actually in the next year, it's already out. I mean, I've seen it where they're going to be able to just start screening you from your iPhone. It's going to come to a point where you're seeing a lot of these readiness, these wearable companies, which, they're not there yet. I've done some work with Whoop and I'm doing a ton of work with Omega Wave now. And I'm really enjoying that. That's not as user friendly. You got to lay down on the ground and get hooked up to EKG straps every morning. So I don't know how many people are going to do that, but it's evolving and getting to the point where I do see in the next few years, you're going to be able to screen. The individual is going to be able to wake up and they're going to be able to get an accurate measure of their readiness. And, I'm doing this new program right now on Omega Wave, where it's a running program where every morning it measures your readiness and then it spits your workout out to you with your heart rate, what zones your heart rate need to be in at what points during the run. And the thing's literally talking to you in your headphones. I mean, that's cool. I mean, and it's starting to become accurate now. It's legit. Right. So just seeing that, it's all going in this direction. I don't like to say that this pandemic was a good thing for anyone, but the silver lining in this, I think it's really forcing a lot of coaches and a lot of businesses to have to kind of propel themselves a few years into the future and have to adapt and do things like you've been doing already.
No, I think you're right. I don't think it's really that much of a change. It's just an accelerant, right? I think this, like gyms that are going out of business, like look what happened to 24. Well, they're already in financial trouble. So this is just like, it literally has just been pouring an accelerant. Yeah, it's just sped things up tenfold. And so to your point, Don, digitally, I think as we do move forward, just like you said before, we're going to have a digital option. And I think you're going to have to up your game. Like your digital option is going to have to be more robust and more slick and more tech savvy and more intuitive than a coach standing behind a Zoom camera in their living room with a couple of, cans of beans or something. Like, that's not going to cut it moving forward. And there's nothing wrong with that. Don't get me wrong, but I think you're going to have to be better than that moving forward. The expectation of the consumer is going to be high. Interestingly, you look at these on like Peloton and Tonal and some of the cool like online options, really didn't see a huge spike in subscriptions, which is weird. I have a buddy that's a CEO of an online nutrition company, and they're pretty good. They do about 18 million a year in just nutrition sales only. And I was talking to him, I'm like, you guys must be killing it right now. He's like, no, we're off like everyone else. And so in a situation where people are losing their jobs or nervous, about that, people weren't spending money even online, and that's maybe contrary to like a couple of knickknacks that you might get from Amazon, but people weren't investing in big nutrition packages, even when the whole platform is set up to be run online. So I don't think it was a huge boom for all the online companies either, but I think it was an eye opener for brick and mortars to say, like, we have to have a different vertical, and it better be slick and meaningful, and it better be on brand, and it better be a dynamic offering that matches our brick and mortar offering, if it's even going to stick at all.
I mean, you look at Derek, you look at some of the companies like Power Blocks or Bowflex. And the second this went down, you're saying to yourself, oh my God, these companies are going to absolutely kill it. They couldn't make product. It's like the owner's worst nightmare. Like, could you imagine everyone showing up to your gym? Like, I want to come inside, and you being like, I don't have a key. You can't come join. I mean, how terrible is that?
Yeah, you know what exploded in sales? They said the Roomba robot vacuum for some reason. Like, you can't predict this stuff, right? People bought the robot vacuum.
Oh my God. Crazy. Liquor sales went up. I heard liquor sales went. I mean, I was talking to one of my friends who's partners in a liquor company, and he says, "Oh my God," he goes, "It's insane." He said, obviously drinking went up. I mean, it's funny. Everyone on Wall Street's complaining about all the entertaining and the reasons why they can't drink is because of the entertaining. Then they're stuck at home. They have their wish and they drink more.
What I got to ask you guys about CrossFit. What's going to happen there?
Well, did you see where they got a new owner? They have new ownership, literally purchased the company from Greg Glassman. So not only has he stepped down, but they had someone purchase the company.
Okay.
How much?
It was rumored that they might have lost as many as 1,500 affiliates. But I think, Derek, just like you said before, this is just an accelerant on the process, because CrossFit as a brand was, other than the games, the CrossFit facilities were on the downturn anyway, as far as numbers. And this is just fuel to the fire, right? And it just turned it up and sped things up quite a bit. So I don't know. I think the strong operators will hang in there, but most of the business savvy operators that are really in it as a first and foremost job and brand that are making money have already moved away from that CrossFit, banner anyway. So I don't think it's going to be a huge impact. And quite honestly, if someone's a firefighter and their part-time gig is to own a cool gym where their bros can get together and crush each other, then they'll probably stick with it. You know what I mean? I don't know. I don't see a lot of traction for that brand at mass, moving forward. I just don't.
Right. What do you, if you were to step into you are a CEO, so I want to be very clear what I'm trying to explain here.
You got a real job, Rick. What would you do?
If you were going in to advise an Equinox or a Crunch or a Planet Fitness right now, I mean, are these businesses, are they screwed because of, the real estate proposition, because of the amount of square footage that they have? Equinox recently, I think there was an article that came out, and they were talking about how they're going to be socially distancing members, and maybe it's maybe this might have changed, so I might be butchering this, but at the time I read it, it was like 3 sessions a week. You could be in the gym for 90 minutes tops, but then you can't come anymore. But they didn't want to adjust the membership price. Like, how the hell does that work out, right? So, are they doomed? Do they have a chance to survive with that footprint? Or obviously some big change would have to happen?
Yeah, I think so. And listen, I can only speak to what we've seen here. And I know that the gyms here are packed. Like, it's fine. Like, in the week that we opened, everyone, like I told you, we were back to 75% capacity. Like 50% of our schedule was full day one. And that was shocking because, the loudest mouthpieces on social media are either the person that says it's a government conspiracy, there's no virus, which is not true, And the other person's like, everyone's going to die if you leave your basement. Also not true. But those are the ones that you hear the most from. So there's this huge chunk of people in the center, right? Center left, center right, wherever they are, it doesn't matter. And they are looking at the data and trying to do their best to decipher what's right and wrong and best for their health. And those type of people are, if they're that understand that health and fitness is probably a good thing to lean into, to prevent some of these pandemics or any of these viruses, to boost your immunity, whatever that may be. We haven't seen that here. So I don't think those brands long-term are doomed. I think a lot of it has to do with the local, like the state regulations that are placed upon them, because what we've seen is that we don't want to emphasize too much like COVID. So case in point, when we opened, I was wrongly assuming that the things that were going to be of value were going to be safety, cleanliness, those things, right? I was like, this is what we're going to sell on. And we even started a little bit of an advertising campaign on those value propositions, and it fell flat. And what we've come to find out is the people in the middle were already making a rational decision just to come in. They didn't want to hear about it. They didn't want to talk about it. It was like, finally get my third place back, right? Work, home, and the gym. I finally get my third community back. I don't want to talk about COVID. It's in the news. I'm worn out. I'm beat up from social media in the gym. So the last thing they wanted to do was for us to like tape out squares and put orange cones and safety vests and masks and all the stuff that would just remind them of all the stuff that's in the news. I know it sounds silly. I'm not being flippant about it. And so the big gyms are the same way around here. Like I don't work out in my studios. I go to a gym down the street because nobody knows me, right? Well, I go in there and the place is packed. And I find that most of the general public is doing exactly what's recommended. They'll work out somewhere and then they'll wipe down their dumbbells and they put them away. And I mean, people don't get that close at the gym anyway, right? Now, I'm not going in a spin class or anything like that. I don't know what's happening in there, but people are being generally conscientious and the gyms are packed. And these are like crunch fitnesses that are $10 a month, mostly kind of a bro brand, to be honest, bodybuilder type of gyms. And they're packed out, but people are being very courteous. They're wiping everything down. I see people saying, hey man, I haven't seen you in a while, and they're elbowing instead of hugging or high-fiving or whatever. So from where I sit, man, I think things are going to get back to normal a little quicker than we think. I just think that things are superheated right now. And when things are closed down, it just feels much different than it does when they're open. Believe me when I tell you, right or wrong, 3 or 4 weeks into being open and people just get back into their normal routine, it's like, should we wear a mask? And it's like, well, it's up to you. And they're like, okay, well, maybe not. Then next week, it's like, should we wear gloves? It's like, no. And then by the end of it, it's like, they're like, screw it,
Right.
Just back to normal. And so I don't know if that's right or wrong, but I don't think those brands I think they can make it. I really do. And I think things are going to return to normal. When we look back at the data, I hope history's on the right side of it, that it was okay to let people go back to health clubs. And I think that if that's the case and we start to see more evidence of that, then I think these brands can come back fine. I think though, if you were already screwed financially, if you were already over leveraged, or you didn't have a long runway, or you didn't have cash reserves, again, back to our point, this is just speeding everything up. You might have been 3 or 4 years, you could hang on, file bankruptcy, restructure, whatever that is. But right now it's a good excuse also to kind of dip out and save face a little bit, right?
Right.
We were solid, but COVID came in, kind of, messed us up.
Yeah.
So I don't think anything's going to happen to these brands that wasn't going to happen already. I think it's just going to happen a little faster. That's all.
Derek?
Yeah, I had a question for both of you. Rick, I'll start with you. What is the gym's role in maybe helping people who had COVID and are recovering and want to get back into shape? Because I know there's a variability in the severity. Like obviously some people die, some people get intubated and very sick, and some people are asymptomatic. But are there people in there? I know Don and I talked to one of Don's friends about coming back. He had it in April and he wanted to do a running program. So I was kind of very careful about how I progressed that. What is the gym's role in helping people get back into fitness after they've had it?
Yeah, I think it's just to be responsible. I mean, we have a physical therapy, we have a doctorate of physical therapy in-house, a dietitian. We have a lot of other services around our brand that we lean on for things like that. But I think for us, it's just making sure that we're not stepping outside the bounds of our practice, right? And just taking whatever doctor's advice that we can. So if they've been cleared to exercise and, their breathing is back to somewhat normal capacity, we would just start them like we would any beginning, exerciser to our brand. So I don't think it'd be a lot different. Certainly in your realm with running and VO2 max and all that, it could be completely different, certainly more scientific than what we're doing. So we're just working on general fitness fat loss for the most part. But for us, I don't see a big difference. We would just start them slow like we would any beginner and then ramp them up as necessary and per whatever medical protocols that they have.
Yeah, Don, and maybe the wearables you're talking about would be a good sort of intervention.
I think it could be a good gauge. I mean, looking at, my kids and it was a different story for me because I was so busy with work, but being home and being secluded from an environment and from, there's so many people who became depressed. And I think getting them back into that environment, God forbid, if you were diagnosed with COVID and you had to go through that and you're recovering, just not, I guess, symptomatic or contagious anymore. At a specific point, you've got to start working on your mental health. And I think part of that is getting back in to a normal lifestyle and, starting to allow yourself to, see some sunlight and get into a gym and be around other people. And my buddy who you spoke to the other day, him and I went out, we played a round of golf. Like, I didn't feel at all worried. I was, we still kept our distance and this is long ago when he had it, I think when he was diagnosed in March. So I think he was quarantined and did everything that he needed to do. And now he's slowly rehabbing himself from that. But I think just to see him out there and see him on the course and his mood and breathing in the fresh air, I don't think it's any different than going to a gym. Like, part of a lot of our happy places is being in that gym environment and being around other people and getting those endorphins pumping and all these very simple terms that I think at times just take for granted. But if you remove that from people who are gym rats, they're going to get depressed. And that's not good for their immune system either. So I don't know.
Yeah, I don't even know, quite honestly, Derek, it's a great question. I don't know what the protocols are. I think it's different for everyone, right? Like, if I got pneumonia and was out for a month and then came back to your running program, it'd probably be similar, but I'm not sure what all the side effects are. I think they're different for everyone. And you've heard this like myriad of potential like health issues and side effects. I'm not sure which ones are legit or which ones are just specific to those individuals or what. So I think it'd have to be a case-by-case basis in conjunction with doctor's orders, and then you just kind of follow sane programming like we always do and try to ease them back into it. I mean, we all agree getting them back to something is going to be a healthy and the right thing to do. How to do that, I think it's case-by-case basis.
What is interesting about those wearables is they can detect, something's wrong out of nowhere. You're in the red, or out of nowhere there's, your recovery plunges and, your sleep quality plunges, and out of nowhere it will start saying to you like, like something's wrong, like jump ship, like take the day off. So it's interesting to see how, it is. I mean, I saw it with O-ring. I'm wearing the O-ring right now, and they keep doing surveys on like, help us, answer this questionnaire so we can help detect COVID, during these times. And I guess these scientists are really trying to dive in, and you hope that something like this, which is pretty simple. I stopped wearing a wedding ring and I wear this instead of my wedding ring now, just because it's so easy. I don't even know it's on, but you hope, like you said, catapulting us a few years ahead right now. I think this did that. And I think things like this is going to give us the answer a lot quicker.
Yeah. I mean, imagine if they could put together a chain of markers that would say like elevated heart rate, elevated temperature, and the percentages would say that you're, 90+% that you've got this, right? This kind of infection, or that you go get checked out, or that you shouldn't go to a gym, right? Whatever those things are, that would be cool. And I'm pretty sure we're going to get there in short time. I mean, everybody's working on it. So
there's your thermometer that everyone's trying to do at the front door now. The nail salon in my town opened up, and they're trying to give check people's temperatures. I mean, it's going to happen. I loved your line today, and this just kind of sped things up. So, Derek, you have anything else?
Well, is that part of the marketing promo going forward? Is like, hey, let's get healthy because maybe we don't get a vaccine. Maybe this mutates. Maybe we should just be generally healthier because most of the people that are having problems are just not in shape. They have all of these pre-existing issues.
Yeah, I love that idea. I don't know I think it's too early, right? Because we've been discussing with our marketing team, like, how do you relevantly take that message to market and not do it too early to be like, look, if you have any of these markers that make you more susceptible to a virus or whatever, one of those being obesity, which is, a big one, obviously. Now's your chance. Like, we can't control if a bat gets loose in a Wuhan market or what. I mean, shit, I don't know. It was in a lab. It was at night. I don't even know, but it's fun to talk about it. So we don't know where it came from. We can't control that, but here's what you can control. Like, grab a hold of the things that you can control. One of those being your health and fitness. So reduce your risks, right? When we went through like 9/11, same thing, 2008, 2009, it felt like these things were so chaotic and outside of our control. And one thing that all of our clients said, and I think it's the same with the situation, what you're saying, Derek, is that it was like, this is something I can control. This is something I can get on top of. I can't control if another, virus comes from, the Far East or whatever that is. I can't control that. But what I can do is take control of my health. I can't control whether the stock market crashes. I can't control whether people fly planes into a building and all these horrible things. But at least this is something I can grasp onto. So it gave people some feeling and a semblance of like control over their lives. Like, this is something I can attack. Whether or not it has any bearing on the outside world, it doesn't matter. It's sort of like the old Stoic philosophy of like, control what you can, let go of what you can't, right? Because there's nothing you can do about it anyway. And so we find that I think that will be a relevant marketing message. I think it's a great question, but I haven't quite figured out with our team how to go about that. It might be a little too early, for that right now.
Yeah, I can agree with that. I think when it's time, though, I think we have to start bringing back talks on the immune system. I just think it's something so simple. And, no matter what we're going to be challenged with in life, the reason why I got into this industry was because of what you just said. I have more control over my body and what food goes into my body and my training and my sleep. Like, I take ownership on that. Yes, there's shit happens. The baby's up crying when they were younger, or my son has to go get stitches, which is pretty common, and all this stuff. But and you lose a night's sleep. But all in all, this is in our control. And I really think that a lot of the talks have to come back to that. Like, listen, this was a taste on what some of the challenges that we could face again in the future. We don't know. We don't know if there's going to be something worse, if this is never going to happen again. Let's be prepared for that. And that's where, Derek, getting into the whole technology talk, starts becoming fun when we realize that it's more accurate than where it's been.
Yeah, agreed.
It's interesting you guys talked about 9/11, but has anybody been concerned about a terrorist attack in the last 4 months? I haven't even heard of anything, right? So
we have been. We've been concerned with Molotov cocktails flying through our business windows. So I don't know. Like I said, New York right now is weird. I mean, Charlie Weingroff was down there, I think, the day after the riots hit, and I had clients of mine sending me videos from their stairwells, from their fire escapes, and there were marches going on and people just blistering windows and doing all this crazy stuff. So yeah, during that week, I forgot about COVID. I really did. I mean, your focus changed pretty quick, and you were like, holy Jesus, where is this going now? No one really spoke about COVID for a full week in New York City. And then suddenly when that started to calm down a little bit, it was like, all right, let's get back to the to the topic at hand.
Well, it is funny because it went from COVID to, protests, and now it's back to COVID and the protests are over. It's funny. We had an older client that came in, and we were talking about something that had to do with the protests. And the question was literally like, oh, is that still going on? Like, I mean, like, that's old news. It was like 2 weeks ago. It's like, oh, forget about that. We're onto the virus again now. I'm like, oh,
yeah. Oh no, that's
gone now. Yeah, no big deal. So I think it's just the speed of information these days, with the media, that stuff changes pretty quickly. So I haven't heard anything about any terrorist attacks, though. That's for you got any in Vancouver that we need to know about?
Nothing. We're pretty.
They throw their garbage out in Vancouver. No terrorists are going to Vancouver.
And trash cans. We need toilet paper. You guys need trash cans.
The only problem we have in Canada is Americans want to come here on vacation, and the way they can get in is they can say, we're on our way to Alaska. Right. So that's our big issue right now.
Vancouver, it's like, I think I'll stay here. The people are nice. My son is stationed. He's a submarine officer. He's stationed in Bangor, Washington. So just south of you on the Olympic Peninsula. Yeah.
How's he doing?
I have no idea. He's underwater somewhere. He's
That's the
cruising
best.
around with like 48 nuclear warheads on his boat. So let's hope he doesn't lose his shit.
Yeah, they're not worried about COVID. They don't even know what's
Yeah.
going on.
Like what he ever said, he's like, we ever have to launch these things, like we don't have to worry about it because when we come up, the world will be gone as we know it. It's like, oh, that's scary.
That's scary stuff.
Yeah, it is.
Well, send them our best. And listen, Rick, thank you. That was Derek. That was awesome today.
Yeah, it's fantastic.
I'm excited to get that one out, and some really interesting perspective that you gave us on a few
I would
things.
just tell you guys, man, the overreaching message, like if I could leave you with anything, just be patient. And I think, like I said, don't let the hysteria of both ends of this argument scare you off of what's going to happen in your gym business, because when you do reopen, there is a lot of people that are going to be, that you just aren't hearing from, that are right down the middle, and they're craving that third place in that community. And they're smart enough to know that like exercise is a positive thing for immunity and everything else.
I love it.
So
I love hearing that.
Be normal quicker than you think. It really is.
I love hearing that. Rick, can you let everyone know where they can find you, whether social media, the names of your spots, et cetera?
Yeah, listen, I'm everywhere on social media, just like everyone else. So if you just type in my name, Rick Mayo, you'll find me. Our site for our franchise is just alloypersonaltraining.com or alloyfranchise.com. Either way. Yeah, check us out, man. We're not posting a lot on this because, again, it's a bit too early. But I was glad to finally meet Derek, and glad that you guys had me on. Good chatting, Don. Good to see your face finally, man.
It's great, man. It's always great to see you, man.
I thought you had like this Grizzly Adams beard by now.
I shaved it off, and I actually got my hair cut, so I'm feeling like a human being right now. It feels nice. It was just pretty awesome.
That's it. Well, hey, man, if you guys want to come back to some level of normalcy, you should come to Atlanta. It's like nothing ever happened here.
Derek, hop on a plane.
It is crazy. It's like restaurants are packed, gyms are packed. No big deal.
I'm actually driving down to Tennessee on Monday.
What part?
Nashville.
Oh,
just
okay.
outside. Just one of my wife's best friend and one of my really good buddies are married, and we're gonna go take the kids down for just get out of New York for the first time in a while and just do a little road trip, 14-hour car ride, and we'll spend 5 days with them, and then hopefully be allowed back to New York.
Yeah, I'll be in quarantine for 2 weeks.
My luck, something's gonna happen. Let's keep in touch, and thanks for the update on everything too. That was really interesting to hear about what's going on.
It's my pleasure. Appreciate it.
All right,
awesome. Thanks a lot,
dude.
Rick.
Bye.